Hey there, folks, it's Octavian here back again. Always nice to see your lovely faces. Hecker, I'm doing a little bit of a glitch there. Graphical glitches are the best kind of glitches. And this is going to be another episode of Challenger Casts. Glad to see you all coming along. This one promises to be interesting. We have a bottom lane matchup that I'm very excited to see. It's going to be Callista, Tristana, and Jana and Nami facing off against each other, but more importantly, the players rather than the champions, because those are fairly standard champions, at least for the past few weeks. The players, however, down on bottom side on red team, we have Doublelift and Aphromoo going to be taking up the 80 carry and supports. And they're facing off against Yuno and Scooby. As Nice Guy Warlock looking to start off that Aphromoo jungle on the Krugs. Haven't seen the Aphromoo jungle in a little bit. He has fallen out of favor a few times in the meta. He's been around for a long time, Aphromoo. I believe one of the starting roster champions, actually. So, been around since, well, League of Legends has been around, which is nearing on its 5th year now, if I recall correctly. We are on the 5th season. I don't know if that corresponds yearly. I believe it does. So, actually, we are into the 5th year. And Zion Spartan looking to maybe go a bit aggressive into the enemy jungle here. Rushing in with the cannon, gets some vision down on the Krugs, but doesn't actually go for anything other than that. And this top lane is going to be rough for Cho'Gath. Zion Spartan, quite a good top laner, of course. One of the reasons why he's in the LCS. And he's playing a matchup that's very much in his favor. Kennen, one of the best lane bullies in the game. Starting with that Doran's Blade makes him especially more powerful. The knock-up on the Scooby, there's the Callista passive start. The huge damage comes out. Spears are stacking up, and the level 2 probably got the rend for Doublelift, just waiting until he has enough damage to make that work. Doesn't quite take it out, as Yuno takes a little bit of damage himself. And that is both summoners burned off of Scooby in trade for actually all the summoners from Aphromoo and Doublelift, whereas Yuno still has held on to his Ignite and his flash. So in the end, there's going to be a bit of a CS lead, most likely, going to Doublelift here as he's got free reign of the lane for a little while. But in terms of summoner spells, in terms of impactful cooldowns, blue team actually came out ahead in that particular trade, even though it was some incredibly aggressive play from Aphromoo and Doublelift. And this top lane, as I said, going in favor of Zion Spartan in terms of CS, but Capison has done a decent job of keeping his health up. Of course, helped along by that carnivorous passive that Cho'Gath has. Whenever he kills a minion, he gets back a sum of mana and health based off of his level. Doublelift leaping on him with the Callista passive there, stacking up the spears, looking for the rend, and there it is. Gets some good damage onto both Scooby and Yuno. And this lane is looking rough for blue team on the bottom side. They're going to have to rely on Zion Spartan doing quite well in his solo lane that he does have the advantage in. Even though Capison is pushing up, it's not quite playing out as I had anticipated. Very good Cho'Gath laning play so far. Dodges away from the bubble. Doublelift landing a few spears. There's the rend. 3 stacks up. That's some good damage. As Zed as God is going in here onto Camfagar. Knocks him back under the tower. Always good to finish off your combos with that E in hammer stance, as Jay says. It is an execute ability. Does damage based off of how much health the enemy is missing. So you do a bunch of damage and then hit that onto their backside as you send them flying away. It does more damage than if you had started off with it. And of course, if you start off with it, then it knocks them away. You can't continue to land damage onto them. But Scooby turning around and actually getting the better of this trade this time with Aphromoo and Doublelift. Good for him. He's had a rough time of it. And speaking of a rough time of it, Zion Spartan actually falling behind in terms of hit points up in the top lane. Not something I expected to see, but the sustained start from Cho'Gath allowed him to survive the first few levels, and now he's coming to his own. He's making very good use of that passive, but speaking of very good use, that is the first Hecarim gank of the game, and it's going to end up with first blood for Zed is God, actually. He turns around to the 1v2, and he might be able to survive here. No, the Q from I Love a Kitten will pick up the kill as Zion Spartan goes down despite his flash. Nice Guy Warlock and now Kitten facing off against each other in the jungle. I don't know if Nice Guy Warlock really wants this fight. Yeah, he's going to use the bandage toss to stun up I Love a Kitten, but he just does not have the same sort of damage output that a double buff Hecarim can bring to bear. And that is going to be a Aphromoo. Perhaps finding some friends in the afterlife, but he certainly didn't find them in the form of that Hecarim. Zion Spartan rushing forward, maybe looking for the trade here with Capasun. He did just go down earlier, and that kill over to Cho'Gath just sealed the deal in that lane because his advantage was in the early laning phase, and he did not make good enough use of it. And because of that, despite the fact that he does have a little bit of a CS lead, that's really not going to matter with the kill that Cho'Gath got. Double knockup from Aphromoo, very nicely played. Scooby nearly goes down to the rent, and auto attack follows from Aphromoo, but it's not enough to bring down the kill. Meanwhile, Doublelift is still leaping around as best he can, dodging away from bubbles. And no mana, and very little health to his name. He's going to have to, actually, he's going to be very, very dangerously out of position there. Forced to flash away as Hecarim came diving behind the tower. Just barely not in time to pick up the kill, the easy kill that would have been able to be garnered from Scooby, who was even lower than his support. And I know I'm reiterating myself a good few times here, but I'm very surprised that Zion Spartan did not come out farther ahead than he did in this lane. Nice guy Warlock getting stunned up under the tower. Those tower shots are huge, and they are hurting. Zed is God, knocks Kamgafar against the wall and gets the kill, but trades his own life in return. Annie putting out a little bit more damage than maybe Aphromoo and Jace were counting on. Silence ends on Zion Spartan, and he is getting traded down really low. Capasun, the base damage from the Cho'Gath levels, doing a lot of work here. He hasn't even built into any AP, but it looks like he might be going that route. To be fair, Catalyst does build into multiple things now. Could be going with the Righteous Glory as well. Not a terrible Cho'Gath item. Allows him to initiate for his team quite well, but most likely going Rod of Ages, even better of a Cho'Gath item, probably the quintessential Cho'Gath item. Allows him to stack up that health, get enough mana to use his high mana cost abilities, but I'll get back to that in a second. The exhaust has been dropped onto Scooby. He leaps away with a rocket jump, as is now the target of Aphromoo and Doublelift's ire. He goes to half health, and this bottom lane is the same story we've seen all game. A few slip-ups here or there from Aphromoo and Doublelift has resulted in not quite getting every kill they could have gotten, but they certainly have not given up much pressure. Zed is God. Whoa, getting bursted down. The damage from Kitten and Kamgafar enough to take him nearly down, but he just about escapes with a sliver of his life. Scooby getting slowed by the Ren, knocked up by Aphromoo. The passive between them is going to do tons of work. The heal at the last second will keep Scooby alive as he leaps away. The timing there was impeccable on that summoner spell, but still the fact that he needed to use it as all really bespeaks how terribly behind he is in that lane. Knock away from Zed is God as I Love a Kitten is coming in. He turns around, he's just trying to get a kill out of this. He was ignited and he knew he was going down, but the tower and his ignite did not quite have the burst needed, so Hecarim will live to ride another day. After picking up a kill for, I believe, himself. Yeah, he is 3-0-0. I Love a Kitten doing very, very well out of the Hecarim jungle this time. Oddly enough, where we have not been seeing very many Hecarims recently. We've seen a resurgence. Actually, I can't call it a resurgence of lane Hecarim, because for it to be a resurgence, it would have had to surge once in the first place. Getting bursted down below half health here. There's the ulti from Doublelift. He's going to be throwing Janna at Scooby. There's the flash in. Doublelift going under the tower to knock Scooby back. The spears are racking up, and Doublelift is looking for the Ren. Flashes in range for it and pulling them out. Picks up a gruesome double kill. Here comes Nice Guy Warlock. Dodge away from Zion Spartan. Will avoid the knock-up as the stun from Nice Guy Warlock. The first Aphromoo ult of the game is used there as well. Speaking of ults, though, Capasun looking to maybe go for his own, but Zion Spartan has the burst and the stacks to be able to stun him out and finish off the kill before he gets in range of that feast. Ooh, nice dodge there, putting on the dancing shoes. As Annie manages to step away from the empowered shock blast, and Zed's God had a fairly good early game. He managed to pick up a kill or two for himself, but since then, his overextensions have resulted in Hecarim gank after Hecarim gank, tower dive or two indeed, as well. And it's put him a little bit behind in terms of this lane, I would have to say. He's not in the hole, certainly. In fact, he's the only member of his team that I can really say is doing well enough to be called even. Bottom lane, Doublelift and Aphromoo have a tight grip on that matchup, and they are not letting go. They're strangling the life out of that lane. Scooby and are having a very rough time of it. And top lane should be going a lot better. I mean, looking at the scores, you wouldn't think that it's a lost lane. He has a 5 CS lead, and he's even on kills and death. That's usually not so terrible of a thing, but in this particular matchup, he should have a kill up, or 30 CS up, or both, as Kennen into a Cho'Gath matchup. That's It's really odd to see him be this even with the Cho'Gath, and Cho is going to scale hard into the late game and become a monster that will be nigh on unkillable. Camgafar getting leapt on here. The Tibbers might be enough to keep him alive. Zed has got flashes away, and the tower shot follows, but he doesn't go down. He lived with 10 health. Doublelift now leaping towards the back lines is going to be pulling all of those spears out of Scooby and picking up a rend. There is Yuno, though. He gets the revenge, and despite the fact that Callista died, the ult is still active, so Aphromoo actually manages to get some distance here. The bandage toss hit, and that is definitely going to be the end of Janna. Zed is God, there for the cleanup. And Zion Spartan actually roamed all the way out of top lane to make that one happen as well. Arguably necessary. I don't think he really needed to be there, but that was the teleport burnt, which means that Capasun got a lot of time pushing. Now he's got the CS lead, nearly 10 up, and he got some damage on the tower. I mean, Cho'Gath, not exactly the most formidable tower pusher, but he still counts. Those auto attacks do still rack up eventually, and he got the tower down below half hit points, whereas Zion Spartan, there, I'm going to mouse over for just a second so we can check, has done some work of his own there. But Capasun was able to even it up somewhat. And I apologize for my camera work. I am casting and moving the camera at the same time, and directed camera does most of the work here, thankfully. Zion Spartan going with the slicing maelstrom as Love a Kitten and Nice Guy Warlock are both here. It is a double jungle, double gank. Whoa, there's the silence into both Zion Spartan and Nice Guy Warlock. Very nicely timed, and there's Warlock getting knocked into the air. Capasun eating him alive at the same time. Zion Spartan with barely any health left runs away with his tail between his legs, but it was a little bit too late for him. The burn from Red Buff will take him down in the end. As Doublelift and Aphromoo just continue to lay down the pressure down here. And is starting to look somewhat grim for blue team. I mean, looking at the score again, you wouldn't think that they're so terribly far behind. But the thing is, Callista is going to scale like a monster into the late game, and Doublelift is doing incredibly well in this lane. There's no denying that. And Cho'Gath is literally a monster, and he will also scale into the late game. And Hecarim will be able to make engages happen when they're needed, as well as that Doublelift ulti making engages happen too. Down on the bottom side of the map, the heal burn from blue team, but Nice Guy Warlock is coming in up the lane looking for some kind of gank. The bandage toss lands on the Doublelift, but there's no ult. He used it in the top lane, and Doublelift is kiting back. Nice Guy Warlock gets rended down below half hit points, and so much was thrown at these guys, and they just managed to avoid all of it, and what they didn't avoid didn't actually seem to matter in the end. Doublelift just gonna steal away the jungle right in front of Nice Guy Warlock, and there's nothing he can do about it. Pings for assistance on the top side of the map as Zion Spartan is looking for another roam here. I Love a Kitten going to turn around and rampage right back on into him. Teleport coming off from the side, and Zion Spartan rushing away as best he can, looking to create some distance, at least lead them on a wild goose chase. Is most likely going to go down in the end here anyways, though. Flash forward from Camgafar as I Love a Kitten with the Ignite burning and a few swipes of his halberd will give the kill over to Annie. Rend picks up one for Doublelift in the mid lane. Didn't get to see what the rest of that fight was, but I'm sure it involved quite a bit of leaping, and maybe a tornado or two. Maybe they're going to be pushing in onto this tower as well. There's going to be a dragon up in about a minute and a half. Nice Guy Warlock flashing in for the Aphromoo ult. And actually, that'll be the kill back for Nice Guy Warlock. You know, and Aphromoo might be able to finish off Aphromoo as well. The tears are ticking, but he's kind of out of mana here. There's the bandage toss, but Yuno takes down the kill. Anyways, ebb and flow bouncing off of Amumu's head. And not quite having the same beneficial benefits for Aphromoo as it did for Aphromoo. Oh, here comes I Love a Kitten. Nice bubble from Yuno. Might be enough to keep Nice Guy Warlock safe along with the heal, and it is. That would have spelled trouble if that Aqua Prison had not landed. But thankfully, Yuno has some good aim, and he made good use of it. Scooby, alone, pushing the bottom lane, has some jungler senses tingling or something like that, and so decides to back off. There was actually no vision on that Hecarim coming down, but it was a little bit too quiet on the minimap, and he was a little bit too far out of position for that quietness to sit well, so then he decided to walk away, and it was good timing to do so. Hecarim was on his way down. Capasun getting stunned up, but he really doesn't care. Look at that chunk on the Zion Spartan and how little Zion Spartan is able to even touch him. This is what I meant when I said Cho'Gath would become a monster later game. There's the stun. And he actually hit level 11 during that stun, which is why it looked like he got stunned and then grew bigger. A little bit of an odd visual effect there. Zed is God leaping in, flashing away from the Tibbers. That was well timed. Still had to burn the flash there, so Camgafar happy to take that trade either way, but good display of reflexes from Zed is God. You know, there is no way out of this for this guy, even with the Nami ult. Actually, I have to eat my words there. The Nami ult, enough to keep Doublelift and Aphromoo away. I think they maybe could have chased down for that kill if they had wanted it, but I guess they were happy taking the summoners and the ult and getting out of there. Kappa-sun does not even care anymore about Zion Spartan's damage. The minions are hurting Zion more than Zion is hurting Kappa-sun. That is a depressing state to be in for a cannon. And he's actually rushed into that Rylai's Crystal Scepter rather than a Zhonya's first. Interesting choice in terms of that. Aphromoo getting thrown in by Doublelift as he's going to continue on under the tower. He's got the Runon's Hurricane finished. Whoa, that was very aggressive going under the tower there, but the exhaust is on Scooby. It was all calculated. They were just baiting him in for some over-aggression of his own. Oh, bandage toss over the wall. Aphromoo out of position here. Does use the ult to keep himself alive. Eye of the Storm. The knock-up lands on Nice Guy Warlock. Dodges away from the stun as well. And Nice Guy Warlock is going to be going down here. Beautifully played by Aphromoo. And Doublelift getting out of what seemed like an impossible situation for Aphromoo. Looks like they're going to be able to take a secondary turret on top of that as well. Zed is God going in on towards Camgafar. Trades fairly well, and Zed is God is really the only bright spot for blue team right now. Zion Spartan may be looking for another roam down towards the bottom lane. Might be able to make something happen to these guys. He lands the Thundering Shuriken, misses the second one though, and Doublelift is kiting around like a boss, pulls out all the spears, and with the rend, takes down the kill on the hamster. Kappa-sun, Zed is God might be doing somewhat well compared to his team, but I don't think he's doing well enough to fight Kappa-sun here. Actually, well, to be fair, there's no armor on that Cho'Gath. He's turning around. Oh, the rupture is avoided. Flash forward for the feast, though. True damage stings, especially on a low health, squishy target like Jace. That's going to be Cho'Gath picking up his third kill of the game. And I mean, I mentioned the Runon's Hurricane finished off by Doublelift. He has a Bloodthirster on top of that now. This is an unstoppable Callista. As in, I don't see any way for blue team to really stop this. If you were holding out hope for a blue team victory, I think now might be when you want to stop holding your breath, because it is not going to be showing up unless something dire happens for them. Ooh, there's the tidal wave, but that doesn't really matter. This is not the dire happening that I was talking about earlier. Nice Guy Warlock leaping in just as the sacrificial lamb. Triple kill for Doublelift. They are fairly low. Zed is God looking to maybe go aggressive here, but there's so many ultimates still up. Tibbers gets dropped. The Callista ulti as well. And Jace has absolutely no chance of even taking down a single kill, rather, in that game. He did not have his janitor pants on in that particular fight. Zion Spartan standing off to the side as Callista makes short work of the inhibitor turret, maybe the inhibitor as well immediately after. The bubble not quite connecting on anybody. Aqua Prison doesn't hit. Doublelift getting ignited, leaps right nearly into melee range of Scooby. He has no fear. The inhibitor goes down and he leaps his way back out again. That's top lane turret falling as well because, well, we haven't really seen Kappa-sun move anywhere but top lane because he hasn't really had to. His team is providing enough pressure that he hasn't had to move around the map and make use of his lead anywhere but top. He's just been keeping the pressure on in that lane while his team does work all across the rest of the map. And that is, of course, the ideal situation for a top laner. It's like a dream come true. Ooh, here comes Kappa-sun, though. Just as I say that, he is looking for the roams. Double kill instantly with the silence. Zion Spartan gets knocked up by a flash howling gale. Aphromoo with the CC over the wall. Blind skill shots. Ooh, Doublelift flashes forward. There's the knock up on a Nice Guy Warlock, and they are going so aggressive for these kills. Rend will give Doublelift the godlike kill. And 20 minutes on the clock. The Nexus turrets are under fire. Blue team, no way back into this game for them. That's going to be the first Nexus turret falling. The surrender vote going through, and that will be another episode of Challenger Casts. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It was a bit of a short one, but maybe tomorrow we'll get a longer match. I'm Octavian, and I'll see you tomorrow.